So as you come onto your mat, come into a slumpy shavasana. Just extend your legs out. Let your arms rest down along the side. And notice your sacrum, your sacred bone, the one that helps support the spine. So right between the two iliums, above your crack. Are you resting on it towards the tailbone? So do you have a big arch in your low back? Hip flexors might be tight. Are you laying more towards the top of the pelvis? Tight belly. And how about the back of your head? Does the back of your skull, with the chin just ever so slightly tucked towards the chest, does that rest on the back, or is it more towards the top of the head? Ideally, when we are upright, the back of the head and our sacrum travels in the same plane. So we can begin to explore that as we lay down. So now let's bend up the knee. So we put that mighty psoas on a slack. Take your hands to the lower abdomen. So I said one of the causes of tension and imbalanced pelvis is because our abdominal muscles are too tight. We squeeze everything. So now as you breathe in and out, let the belly expand on the in-breath and soften down towards the mat on the out-breath. Let it be an easy affair, not straining. Breathing in, the belly expands. And breathing out, the belly softens. And then I invite you to invite the breath down lower. So as you breathe in, you also pay attention to the sensation in the pelvis. Would there be a sense of an expansion, both sideways, but also downward? Our pelvic diaphragm, these three layers of muscle, moves in unison with our breathing diaphragm. So when we inhale and the diaphragm contracts and move down, the pelvic diaphragm also moves down, at least in theory. And as we exhale and the breathing diaphragm moves up, the pelvic diaphragm should also move up. So there's movement. It is not just held in a tight, tense ball. And this can sometimes take a little bit of time to notice, especially if we have a tendency to be shallow breathers where the belly doesn't move much at all. So in this way, give and retraction. It's a teeny little mula bandha that is happening so that these muscles on the pelvic floor are not locked up. A muscle that is grippy and tight becomes a very weak muscle, not able to support. No better than an overstretched muscle. So we're always trying to work towards that right tone. Now let's begin to layer on pelvic tilt. So on the next in-breath, you're going to arch the low back, roll towards the tailbone. Then exhale, coming back through center and flatten. Draw the pelvic floor up, the abdomen draws in. And then inhaling, we arch again, go back and forth slowly. So we're layering the movement onto the breath, not the other way around. So if you lost the sensation of the pelvic expansion when you added movement, just go back to breathing without movement. If you are tilting and flattening your back, rolling across the sacrum, does your head rock along with the sacrum? So as you arch the low back, the chin draws towards the chest. And as you slowly change into the flattening, the chin lifts away from the chest, not because you are moving it, but because it's attached to the spine and the spine is moving along with the pelvis. This is a very important connection, and that too can easily get interrupted and severed due to tension and immobility. And then after the next flattening, as you come to a neutral, pause here and take the legs long. Stretch the legs out again. Breathing in and out. And just notice if the breath flows a little easier now. One of my favorite little warm-ups is back stirs. So we'll inhale, take the arms overhead, his first vinyasa. The element of the pelvis is fluidity, water. And this little sequence feels very fluid to me. Let's exhale, hug the right knee in. Let's draw the chin to the chest. And inhale, release the head and the left arm down. Take the right knee to the side. Give your right knee to the left hand as we twist to the left. Right arm now lift, goes out to the side. Inhaling back to center, extend the heel to the sky. Hamstring event, and exhale, hug the knee back in, and full body stretch. Exhale, hug the left knee in, take the chin to the chest. Inhale, take your left knee to the side while you take the head and the right arm down. Exhale, twist. Let the right arm lead you into the twist, holding the knee, coming back to center. Clasp the hands behind the left thigh, press up through the heel. And exhale, let's hug the knee back in, bookend the whole bit, and stretch out. And right side again. Hug the knee in, inhale, open the hips. All these little itty bitty abductors, AB. And we twist, we get the outer hip, a little bit of the glute, just one of them, hamstring. Exhale, hug the knee in. And again, full body stretch. So we're getting a whole lot of the hip complex. Let's do the left side. Take the knee to the side. Take it across. Back for the hamstring event. Exhale, hug the knee back in. And inhale, full body stretch. One more time, each side. Exhale, hug the knee in, to the side, across. Doesn't it feel like swimming? We're just floating through. Finish bookending the hamstring stretch with another knee to chest. And then one more time on the left, hug the knee in. Take it to the side. Across. Hamstring. One more time, hugging in. And full body stretch. Let's take the arms down. And then bend up the knees, bending up the knees. Take your strap. Does everybody have a strap? You can do this without a strap, but it's a really nice addition. And you're going to place your strap right under your back. belly button-ish. So when you're not doing anything, it just slides from side to side. That's in the right place. So that's right in the small of your back. Now flatten the low back. And as you flatten the low back, now the belt is stuck. As you flatten the low back, does the belly poof up? So put one hand on the belly, let the belly release. Flatten again. This time, draw the pelvic floor up and the belly draws down. So that means that we have added another layer of support. Letting that go. And now we're going to engage simultaneously. So as you come into the flatten, draw the pelvic floor up and flatten. Did the belly draw down rather than poof up? Give your belt a little tuck. It's locked down, not going anywhere. And then take the legs in so the knees are over the hips. The knees are over the hips. So now the belt, you can give your belt a little tuck. So this is our little tattletale. As you exhale, let's tap the right heel down and inhale up. And then the left heel, one at a time. And ever so often, give your strap just a little tuck. Is it still locked down? Is your pelvic floor still supporting it? If we are bearing down without pulling the pelvic floor up, guess what? That's how we can create too much pressure with causing the incontinence, causing prolapse, because we are pressing down into the pelvic floor. So we're countering it with the lifting up instead. So anytime you need to lift something heavy, don't bear down. Now let's finish on the left side. And then slowly release the leg down and pause here. So now, whoo-wee. That's just good to get that out of the way. Now, if you find that it was challenging to keep the strap locked down, you can always do this one from the floor up, lifting the knee up instead. And that's a great way to begin to just putting it all together rather than doing it down. If you thought this was so easy, you could just have been heel tapping for the next 30 minutes. You begin to stretch your legs out further and further away. So when you go down without lifting the low back, tap the heel out further yet. But notice if you're bearing down. So you start with the knees bent up and you still only do one down at a time. And that is a very heavy lever. And while that may be I'll decide to get there, don't go there before your pelvic floor and abdomen are ready for it. You can move the strap out of the way, but not too far. Let's take the arms up overhead, feet hip width apart. I like doing bridge after abdominals. It helps lengthen everything back out. As you inhale, press into the feet, lift the hips, and exhale, lower back down. Well, pop quiz, what fired first, your hamstrings or your glutes? Let's try it again. Let me give you a little clue. Glutes needs to initiate. So as you press the feet down, the glutes begins to fire and then lift the hips, hamstring secondary. Exhale, lowering down. Moving with your breath, inhale, lifting up. And exhale, lowering down. Press the heels down to get the glutes on board. So when you lift up hamstrings, which are hip extenders too, but we don't want them to be the only one on the job. And then slowly coming down. Now let's draw the right knee in. Draw the right knee in. And strap your right foot. Take the leg to the sky. We're just going to let the strap dangle a little bit. As I place my elbows by the side hips. So the strap is just hanging. And my leg is straight up. And if my hamstrings is getting in the way, bend the knee a little bit so that your thigh is perpendicular to the mat. Take the left leg out long. So one of the causes of chronically tight hamstrings, you've been stretching these guys for years. I'm just putting you on a little bit of an experiment. So my strap is just hanging. I'm not holding it. I have my hands, elbows are planted, and palms are facing each other. I'm going to tell my left glute to get to work here. As I inhale, press the right elbow down, left glute down, and lift the right leg straight up and lower down. It's lifting a quarter of an inch, maybe a half an inch, but it ain't much. Let's do that again. So the strap is just hanging. You're not holding the strap. Lift again and lower down. Your right leg is going to try to drift towards the center. Don't let it. Keep it straight up. Engage the left glute. Press with the right elbow and lower down. So the left glute fires to lift the right leg up. Not a big event. Use your right elbow to help stabilize. Press the right elbow down as you lift the leg and really fire up left cheek. Is it firing? I'm going to take that as a yes. One more time. Right elbow down, left glute down, lifting up. And just because I know it is nice, now take your hands to the strap. Allow yourself to enjoy a little hamstring event. If the hamstrings stay tight, regard, you've been stretching them for years, it may be that they have to do the work all by themselves. The glutes are not helping out. I know, now I tell you. Let's take the left leg up under the strap and lower the right leg down. Again, arms bend up by the side. Left elbow and right glute presses down. Lift the left leg straight up. Don't let it drift to the center line. And just follow your own breath. You'll do another 6. Does this side have as much lift as your right side? Maybe it has more. So you'll notice that one side just doesn't quite want to play as much. So we're training. So left elbow, right glute, floor contact, left hip lifts up. And then after you counted to your 6, I know this ain't easy. Let's take the hands to the strap for the little hamstring event here, because it feels good. And then let's tuck the right foot up under the strap next to the left. So both legs are straight up now in the strap. Press the sacrum down, press the feet into the strap. Sacrum presses down, feet presses up into the strap. Notice how your pelvic floor, mula bandha, it happens all automatically. We need that in our standing poses so that we are not bearing down. All right, let's take the legs down and roll over onto the right side. Let's roll over onto the right side. Support your head with a blanket or an arm. You'll bend up your left leg and take your right leg out long. So right out from the hip. Lifting your right leg towards the sky or staying up on the hip and lowering it back down again. So now we're really using the other glute, the abductors, not the adductors, the minimus and medius. So as you lift the leg up, take care that it is not swinging forward, that your torso is still pure abduction. Point the toes down towards the ground, and now we're really getting the little guy. Can you feel it? You change what muscles are firing when the toes are pointing down towards the floor and when the toes are pointing straight out. And we're going to make circles with the left hip. So we're taking it through abduction, adduction, flexion, and extension. It's a beautiful thing. So it's not about making huge circles. Notice, what are the movements like? If you're starting to feel fatigue, where is the fatigue? Let's switch the direction. Does that feel different? A wee bit. All right, I say we take that one down. Straighten the legs out completely. Side tall mountain pose. Now you can put a hand down on the floor to support. Draw the abdomen in and up, tailbone towards the heels. Let's lift the top leg again. Doesn't have to be very high. Straight up, but then lift the bottom leg. Woohoo! There's a little roll there and lower. Lift the bottom leg again and lower. So here we are just working the adductors, AD. And lower down. Now let's roll slowly onto the back. Let's pause here as you come to the back. Notice you gave the left leg a little bit of a workout. Does it rest differently on the mat? I say we do the other side. So let's roll on to the left hip. Almost all our movement is forward or backwards, and most of it is forward. So our lateral movements, they can get a little lazy. So these are gluteus minimus and medius and the darn piriformis, right? So we started by just lifting straight up. Take a hand to your cheek. You can feel it. What's firing back there, right? And maybe what's not firing, you're going to feel this more to the outer edge. But the pelvis is not moving. If your pelvis is rocking back and forth, now you are trying to use other muscles to do the job of these guys. So keeping the pelvis still. And then let's do the circles. Oh, I forgot the whole toe thing. Point the toes down. Thank you, I heard you. And as you lift and lower with the toes pointing down, now the gluteus minimus. This one is really important for walking upstairs. If this one is checked out, we're going to hurt walking up the stairs. We're trying to use other muscle. Let's do circles. Again, more circles. So how we rotate the leg matters to what fires unless they haven't been used in so long that they don't fire anymore. Therein lies the rub. All right, let's straighten the bottom leg out. Both arms overhead to lay right up on your side, or if this is very roly-poly, take your top hand and place it in front of you, and that will help stabilize. Now let's lift the leg again, and then lift the bottom leg up to meet it, and lower the bottom leg down. Bottom leg, like, whoo, here I go rolling. So that tells me a lot about what's going on this side of my body, and that makes sense. This is where I sustained the injury. Those things change. Lift, lower, and I think that's good. Woo. Let's come onto the belly. And as we come onto the belly, we worked a little bit on this last week. We were mainly working with the big glutes. So what we haven't addressed yet is the whole back seam. Now, let's come into Sphinx pose. So elbows under the shoulders. Draw the legs back. And then lengthen the sternum away from the belly button. And then slowly swing the left arm in front, bend up the right knee. Half bow pose. So I took the right knee up. Now you can use a strap instead. That's perfectly fine. Draw your hips down. So contract your glute, contract your right glute to help with the hip extension. If the glute is not firing, it's really challenging. Now put a little bit of a fight into your foot. It'll pull you up a little higher, but then let the hand win and maybe draw the heel a little closer to the tush. And we're going to switch to the other side. Pull the heel in. And then let there be a little fight. Foot will pull back. Press the hip down. Press the hip down. Contract your left glute. And then draw the heel in maybe a little bit further. So those tight hip flexors from sitting down a lot. Get up, walk around, get everything firing. And release. Let's take the hands under the shoulders, roll the shoulders up and down the back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, lift both legs, glutes firing. Glutes firing. And then lift the head and the heart. Lifting up, lifting up. And then lower down again. Take a breath. Everything cools. Roll the shoulders up and down again. So habits can take a little bit of time to break. Did you lift using the hamstrings, or did you draw the glutes down? So this time we'll slow it down. Take a breath in and exhale. Press the hips down. Use the glutes and lift the legs. Then the heart and the head lifting up. Flying serpent. Take the legs down. We lift up to cobra pose. And exhale back. Puppy. Great pose to stretch out the glutes and the low back. Inhale. Tall cobra. Shoulders over the wrist. Lift the heart. Squeeze the glutes though. Exhale back. Inhaling forward, move with your breath. When you start to come into the back bend, the cobra, use the glutes to help keep your low back safe. If you find that you often feel the back bends in your low back, recruit the glute. It's your brakes. Next time you draw back, let's go back to downward facing dog. As you come into the dog, glutes are not engaged here. They get to just hang out. Pivot the heels in towards one another. Notice what happened in the pelvic floor. Now pivot the heels out. How does that change the pelvic floor? So as you move the heels in, the sits bones are narrowing. Everything contracts. So if the habit is to stand or sit with the toes pointing out, very contracted in the pelvic floor. If we stand with our legs pointing in, very stretched in the pelvic floor. So now let's come to neutral. And bend the knees. Bend the knees. Take the hips back and up. Lift the sits bones. Lift the sits bones. And then look up as you inhale. And we'll walk or step the feet. The hands to the feet. Inhale, half forward fold. Hands to the hips, and we press all the way up. Mountain pose. Take your block. Do you have a block nearby? I didn't put it on the list. I know. Last week we did this as well with the blocks, so we're going to just bring a little bit more attention to it. When we stand, what is a neutral pelvis, right? It's like, well, the front and the back rim about the same. Now I'm going to get a little graphic here, so I apologize. But just imagine that the bottom of the pelvic floor, so you have the pubic bone on the front, tailbone on the back, midway between, I can say it because this is a room of women, basically where the vagina is, midway between that points straight down. So if we tend to be in a anterior tilt, we're sort of shining the light back this way, or if we're tucking more forward, so straight down as best as you can gauge, and then really bring the weight into the heels, bring the weight into the heels. So the glutes begin to activate, but they're not shrink wrapped. But you feel the contraction. They're now supporting your pelvis. If again, you come into the hyperextended pelvic tilt, take a breath in here. A belly breath. Can you get the breath into the pelvis? It's really challenging. If you tuck, really pull the pelvis under and suck up the lower abdomen. Take a deep breath in here. Can you? Everything is contracted. So now we go back again, shine the light straight down, really ground the heels, really ground into the heels. So this becomes a problem if we wear high heels, which seems, at least in my circles, to be going out of vogue. Not to say that you can't do it once in a while, but this is what you wear all the time. It really changes the pelvis. So remember your legs like this as you take the block to the side. If balance is not your friend today, either take your chair or go to a wall for King Dancer pose. So the King Dancer pose, we just did it laying on our belly, but now we'll do it standing. And a strap is absolutely a perfect tool too. Take your right knee forward so that we relax the hip flexors. It's a little easier to catch the heel. Take the knee forward, but now we're going to take it back. Take the knee back. Draw your right knee towards the left knee. And the heel towards the tush. So now your left leg is still in mountain pose, and it is stabilizing our thigh bone in the socket, and that's gluteus medius that has to do that. That is its main job. Hold the femur steady in the socket. Is it working? A little bit? Let's switch to the other side. So again, it's okay to come into a little bit of hip flexion to catch the foot, but now we have to correct. Bring the knee down. Draw the knee back so they are side by side. The thighs are side by side. Draw the heel towards your tush. So we're getting a nice stretch across the quads, but we are also strengthening gluteus medius on the left. Keep the left hip moving towards center line. I'm just having a peek at y'all. Left hip moving towards center line, not drifting out to the side. Nice. And then exhale. Release. Releasing down. Take your strap again and you put your chair just with the front legs on the mat, just the front legs, and put it to your right side. Put the chair to the right side. And if you don't have a chair, block is good, because we're going to play a little bit with half moon pose. Have your blocks? That will work. I'd like you to make a loop of your strap. A loop from thigh bone to ankle. If you don't have a strap, no biggie, but I'm looking around. I think we got straps. Sarah, I'm assuming you got a strap. So the leg length. And then I'm going to slip the strap around my left heel. So I'm facing the long way on my mat. My right side is towards the chair. So face the long side on your mat. Your strap is under your left heel. And then take the feet wide apart. Take the feet wide apart. Turn your left heel out, right leg in. And you know the tension you need on your strap as we come into triangle pose. So take your right arm up and then bend to the side. So your left hand holds onto the strap and your right hand is sort of drift down towards the shin or the knee with your left shoulder and arm drawn to the back. So your left hand, I'm backwards. So left hand is holding the strap around the back of the left heel. You're going to the right side. I got you all confused, Bev, I'm sorry. You're going to the right. So triangle pose, just same old, same old. So a nice little traction event going on. Pressing into your left heel. Powerful back leg. So what's what we did in Tadasana, mountain pose. Now your right leg right now has both rotation and abduction. So we get the whole glutei complex going on in the right. And that becomes crucial when it becomes weight bearing. But let's just visit with the other side first. So let's take the strap and slide it from the back onto your right heel. From the back onto the right heel. Let's turn the legs outside. I love this variation of triangle pose because it really helps me focus on the back leg. We can get really complacent about what happens back there to the detriment of the stability of the pelvis. So my left arm, it can just hang. I don't need to support on anything. Remember, we're bending from the hip, bending from the hip. So the spine is still in neutral. It is Tadasana spine. And inhale all the way up. Parallel feet. Now bring your heels in a little closer. Watch. Because sometimes a visual, I'm going to slid the strap behind. So we're going to do exactly what we did, but now with a block or chair, we're going to take it into half moon pose. I've cinched my strap up, I'm ready to travel. Not too concerned about how we come into it. What I really want is how we are using our hips in half moon. So I come up in a block or chair. My top leg pushes into the strap as it did before. I'm gonna bend the standing leg and straighten it. And that is really gonna help activate those little glutes. And then after about 3 times, let's hold it up. Press the lifted leg into the strap. Really press the lifted leg into the strap. So allow your elbows to bend. We're looking for a semi-straight line. You don't have to be worried about going down too low. So the question here is your right hip working hard here? Or are you just hanging out? I'm going to take that as a yes. Now slowly lead back with your strap leg without landing on a cat. And come out of the pose. Leading back. Parallel feet. And then we can do the other side. Circle in. You can just turn around. And you'll find that the chair is there for you. So again, put the strap on behind the other heel, the one facing away from chair or block. Allow your front leg, the chair side, to bend a little bit. So I'm just looking at you now. And take your hand down to the chair. Or stay connected to the back leg. As you take the hand onto the chair and lift up into half moon pose. Keep that lifted leg super active, pulling on it, pressing into the strap. Now bend your standing leg a little bit and straighten it. And again. Want to awaken those muscles. We'll hold it straight, hold it straight. Now really lock into the pelvis. And breathe. And breathe. It's the easiest half moon we've ever done, right? Easy. One more breath. And then as you exhale, slowly lower the leg down. Slip the strap off. And then either use your chair or table or a regular downward facing dog. Lengthen the hips back. So whether you're in dog or chair dog, as you inhale, lift your right leg up behind. Lift the right leg up behind. You can bend the standing leg. Yes, guess which one muscle? That is your gluteus maximus. So lower the leg down a little bit. Re-engage glute and lift the leg, lift the leg, lift the leg, lift, and then lower it down. Pull back through the dog again, extend the spine. And then the left leg, lift the left leg. It's like a little handstand, a one-legged handstand. So as you lift the leg, don't lift from the hamstring. Retrain now. Lift from the glute. You're taking the leg into extension. Try, go in and out a couple of times. So it's the glute fire to take the leg up. Or you're holding it with the hamstring. It's not going to like that. Lift from the glute. Lift, 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 lift. Nice. And slowly lower down. We're going to stretch back to dog one more time. And then from here, walk to the chair because you're going to grab your blankets and we are ready to set up for the good stuff. So without a chair, you'll do Shavasana with either blanket rolled up under the legs or on an ottoman. So we want a little bit of height. We want the knees bent. If you have a chair, place a blanket on the mat. And Bev, you have 2 blocks in a blanket. You have a chair? Perfect. Put another blanket, put your blocks under there. So this is called Stonehenge, where you place your blocks and then the right across. You can't see what I'm doing. So blocks, and then you said 2 blocks. And then the other one goes over here, so you create a little Stonehenge. But if you have a chair, I recommend you use that. Bev, did it make sense what I was showing you? So you will also use your strap. So I put my blanket down. I have a blanket on my chair. Bev, you have the Stonehenge formation. So what we're looking for, strapping my thighs, so when I let go, now I have no effort in my hips. My pelvic floor can relax. This is a really good pose for prolapse because gravity helps move things in the right direction. The abdomen goes back upwards. You can have a blanket under. So Bev, your calves are on, I can't see. I'm looking at Meg. Meg, you may not need a blanket on the chair because you're a little shorter. You may actually need it under the hips. So when you take the legs up in the chair, you want your calves to rest really secure on the chair seat. And if you are of shorter stature, you may need to raise your hips up by sliding a blanket under the hips. So take a moment to assess, are you comfortable as you settle in? Are there any changes that you want to make? Are you still gripping in some areas? And then again, let the breath soften down into the belly. Let the whole body pool, release, relax. Let the pelvic floor sink upward. Remember, part of this job all day long when we sit, when we stand, is supporting the abdominal content. It just bears down. So right now, not so much. It gets to relax. This is one of those poses when in doubt, choose this one. It benefits so many things. It gives the back a rest. It's easier to breathe here. It relaxes the hips, that chronic tightness that we sometimes becomes victim of. For whatever reason, we live in our bodies and we use our bodies as we should. Now gently just begin to deepen your breath. Wriggling fingers and toes. And then draw the knees to your chest. You can slip the strap off the knees. Hug the knees in and rock from side to side. Rolling all the way over onto one side. Pause as you rest on your side. Body, breath, mind. The three entities that we work most directly with in the yoga practice on the mat. What has changed from an hour ago? Use your arms and hands to press up into a comfortable seated posture. We'll bring our palms together. The chant Om Shanti 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 Om. It is one of my favorite chants. It also helps me stay calm and centered as I pray for peace in our world and in our lives and in my heart with all that is going on right now. Please join me. Take a deep breath in. Om Shanti 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 Om. And exhale and bow your head towards your heart. Where your inner guide, teacher, resides. Live from here. Let's draw the gaze up. Thank you. Namaste.